Hello and welcome to another episode. I am Brian, the Unskilled Commander. This is match 3. Counters matter, Goblins, me the Immortal, and the Third Doctor. We are 3 episodes into the new camera setup, well, new-ish, where the sound isn't great, but the camera looks better, and we're just kind of dealing with it for right now. I haven't checked the audio on the second episode just yet, so I'm not sure exactly how good it, how much better or worse it is versus the first one. This is the way it's going to have to be for a little while until I can get to next year and afford a upgrade on systems so that will allow me to use the Logitech camera that I used to use before the laptop just decided to not support it for some reason. But let's jump right in. I rolled the dice, and Ramos Dragon Engine is going first. We're going to draw for turn, and I will play Opulent Palace comes in tapped. Pass turn. Draw over here. Play a mountain, tapping it for a Goblin Champion. It's a 0/1 with haste and an exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So we're going to go ahead and swing. We will just go swinging at you for 1 damage. A turn 1 attack, that's pretty rare for my channel, so that's kind of cool. I will pass turn. How are all of you wonderful people doing out there? I hope you're having a good day. If you're not, sorry to hear that. I hope watching this episode will cheer you up a little bit. If you're not a subscriber already, I'd really appreciate it if you did so. Throw some likes around the channel, that kind of junk. Trying to get to a few thousand subscribers so that I can do charity streams twice a year for Extra Life. Really cool charity. If you don't know Extra Life, go check it out, extra-life.org. It's a really fantastic charity. It's all about gaming, so board games, video games, tabletop games like, D&D, things like Magic the Gathering. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. We're going to untap over here, play an island, pass turn. Draw for turn, play a forest, and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. I'm going to play an island, tapping both for rampant growth. Going to put another island onto the battlefield, and then that's all we can do. We'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Going to play a war room. Taps for colorless. Oops. But you can pay 3 and tap it, and then pay 1 life for every color that's not in your commander's identity colors, and you get to draw a card. So, since it's a monocolor deck that only hurts you 1, then it's a little bit of card draw whenever you need it. Don't have any 2-drops, but we will go to combat and swing at you this time for 1. Pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. Gonna play a forest, tapping both for a Gruul Signet. You can pay 1 mana and tap it to add green and red to your mana pool. That's all we can do. We'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Let's rock and roll. Play another forest. No viable 2-drops, so we will pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Gonna play Dark Slick Shores. Comes in tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands, which I do not. And unfortunately, I don't have any good 3-drops. Well, any 3-drops at all, really. So we're gonna pass. It's not looking good. I'm gonna untap, upkeep, draw. I'll play the Reliquary Tower I just drew. Goblins is getting set up pretty nicely because everyone else has to slowly get their colors out for their commanders, whereas Krenko, only a 3-drop, I will play. And I've said this in a couple different types of videos on the channel. The lower your commander cost, the better, because as you can see, this is a 6-drop, that's a 4, that's a 5. I'm not getting any kind of mana ramp or any kind of, well, a little bit of mana ramp here, but it's a 6-drop, and 1 artifact ramp over there, but no mana rocks. So these are taking their normal turns to get out, whereas he's out on turn 3, which is normal, but that's still early. And he's already been pinging people, and it's just going to start getting worse. So the more you can get your commander out ahead of everyone else, the better setup you are for the game. And plus, when it does get blown up or exiled or whatever, you can still play it a few more times before it gets too expensive to play. We're going to move to combat, swinging at you this time, 1 damage. And we will pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. I'm going to play a forest, and I'm just going to put that forest underneath the Gruul Signet, because since it's the forest, now whenever I tap, I'll just tap them like this together. It's paying 1 into the Signet to make a green and red every time I want to. So I will do that, getting green and red and 1 other. to play Kodama's Reach. Search for 2 basic land cards, put them in one on the battlefield and one into your hand. They will both be mountains to try and balance out the colors of my commander. Okay, 1 mountain onto the battlefield tapped, and 1 mountain into my hand. So at least now we have all 3 colors, and next turn we will be able to play the commander. But unfortunately, that's it. We're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Dreamroot Cascade comes in tapped unless you control 2 or more lands, which I do. Tapping all 3 to play Kodama's Reach over here. So we're going to put a island onto the battlefield tapped and a forest into my hand. Fortunately, I got a lot of forests over here, but whatever. We're then going to go ahead and pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. I'm going to play Cinderglade. Comes in tapped unless you control 2 or more basics, which I do, thankfully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will go ahead and tap all 5 for Uncivil Unrest. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. They enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. If a creature you control with a counter on it would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage. So that's where we're going to get some good stuff going on over here. Going to pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play a mountain for turn. I'm going to tap all 4 to play Goblin Raise Runner. It's a 3/4. You can pay red and 1 other, sacrifice a land, put a +1/+1 counter on Goblin Raise Runner. At the beginning of your end step, you may have Goblin Raise Runner deal damage equal to the number of counters on it to target player or planeswalker. We're going to move to combat, and I am going to swing Krenko at you. Now, because he's attacking alone, he gets +1/+1, and he gets his triggered ability, which I should have read that when I played Krenko. Sorry, I was rushing a little bit. He's a 1/2. Whenever Krenko Ting Street Kingpin attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then create a number of 1/1 goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. So when he attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, get a +1. So it doesn't get a counter, but it just does get the buff, meaning he is a 3/3, well, actually a 3/4, as opposed to the 2/4 he would have been. So that means we make 3 goblin tokens. So that is 3 commander damage to you, and we're off to the races in goblin form. Gonna pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. Going to play another mountain for turn. I was going to play a ramp spell, but I guess considering me the Immortal's ability, which you'll find out in a second, it's best to get her out early. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Me the Immortal, a 3/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put your choice of a +1/+1, first strike, vigilance, or menace counter on Me the Immortal. Counters don't leave Me the Immortal when she moves different zones unless she gets bounced to your hand or the library. We will now move to combat, giving her a menace counter. That's all we can do though, so we're going to go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw, play another forest, tapping 4 to get out the 3rd Doctor. A 2/2 with trample. He gets +1/+1 for each non-creature token you control, and when he enters the battlefield, you make your choice of a clue, food, or treasure token. I'll always pretty much make a treasure token. So now he is a 3/3 with trample. That's it. I'm going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. I'll play a command tower, and then tap all 6 to play the commander himself, Ramos Dragon Engine. I just like saying that. It's a 4/4 flyer. Whenever you cast a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ramos for each color in that spell's color identity. Remove 5 counters from Ramos, make double Wooburg, which is 1 of each color, so you make 10 mana. However, Uncivil Unrest. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. When they enter the battlefield, put either a counter on them or haste. I'm going to give it a counter because if a creature you control with a counter on it would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double the damage. So we definitely want to get that going up quick. However, I mean, we could have given it haste, but it's only a 4/4. So right now we're going to go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Going to play a Rogue's Passage, which is very good for this deck. However, now I could use it. Well, that's true, I could. You know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to tap 5 to play Gilded Lotus. It's an artifact that says tap, add 3 mana of any one color. I'm going to tap it for 3 red mana. And then I'm going to go ahead and play Flick a Coin, which we've seen, I think, all three of these games. Deals 1 damage to any target, make a treasure token, and draw a card. Draw a card, make a treasure. And is there anything? Nothing can get killed, so we're just going to pipe you in the face. Now, I know the other strategy I could have done is I could have made Krenko unblockable this turn, swung it, over here, made more goblin tokens. But I can do that next turn, theoretically. And I think just having more mana out early is still a really good play. Yes, someone might blow up Krenko, but now I definitely have the mana necessary to recast it and still do other things. So I still feel that that's the better play of the two. Now we can go to combat, however, he won't get through on anybody. Well, let's see. 1, 2, it'll go up to 3, and then it'll be a 4. So it'll be a 4/4. Can't get through there, but it could destroy either one of those. And we have 3 1/1s, but I think we're going to hold them back. So yes, as of right now, that's only a 3/3. So we're going to go in combat, and we're going to swing at you. As I said, it's going to get to become 2, 3, 4, which is going to make 4 more goblins up to 7. And you've got a 4/4 commander. I think you just got that out. You're going to go ahead and take it. That's all we can do. I don't think, like, Raise Runner probably is going to come out of the deck at some point because I'm not going to sacrifice lands just to give the, just ping something. Because you sacrifice a land, put a counter on it, and then you can ping damage for each counter on it. It's like, meh. Although that might be better over there because I can actually, it probably is. This card should probably go into this deck because it's easier to just put counters on it without the land sacrifice. And I'll just have to find a better goblin for over here. That's something to remember. Pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and play Chaldia Strongarm. A 2/3, when he enters the battlefield, put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. That's going to go right there. And he does have a blitz cost, but that just makes him, he's a little cheaper, but he dies at the end of the turn. But he does have haste or whatever. Not going to do that. However, I will play a Simic Growth Chamber, bouncing this island back to my hand. Then I will move to combat, giving me the Immortal Vigilance. Especially since I just put the counters on him from this already, her rather. It's best to get both of those keywords on there. I don't know that I'll ever really care about putting First Strike on her, although it probably could come in handy at some point. And since the deck does have ways of putting counters on her without going to the combat step, that might be something I try and do, especially if I'm okay. If I get one more thing that puts counters on, yes, next time it'll be, First Strike just to have all the options, but so far I haven't really needed it that much. So that was Vigilance came in when we went to combat, and it is now a 5/5 with Menace. So we can swing in it either direction over here. If we swing over there, can definitely stack block it and kill it. We don't want to do that. I think we'll go ahead and swing over at you. You have to take it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's bad. But that's all we can do. We'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Another forest return. 1, 2, 3, 4 to play Migration Path. Search your library for 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield, tap, shuffle. We definitely need some islands. Well, unfortunately, there's not really much we can do, so we're going to go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play a Plains for turn. Tapping 3 for Kadama's Reach over here. I think that's almost dead. Well, obviously it can't be this deck, but that's the other 3 decks completely. Search for 2 basic land cards. Okay, I'm going to put a Swamp on the battlefield tapped and a Mountain into my hand. I'm going to tap for white and then 3 others. Oh, first of all, that was a green spell, so Gramos gets a counter on there. And then we're going to play Machias the Lunarch. He enters the battlefield with, I'm paying a 3 into X and then a white, so it's going to come in with 3+1/+1 counters on it. And then you can tap it to put a counter on it, or tap it to remove a counter from it and put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Pretty huge. A white spell, 1 color, that's going to go up again. And then we are going to move to combat. We've got ourselves a 7/7 flyer. We're sending that at you, and it's going to deal double damage because you have no flyers, so you're going to take 14 damage. kind of a big deal because that's one more hit from them and you're out. And it's a big deal for everybody because no one has flying. And we still have a blocker on the ground at least, and it's a 3/3, not too shabby. We will pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Path of Ancestry comes in tapped. Going to tap this for 3 red mana to play Gimli's Axe. Equip creature gets +3/+0. As long as it's legendary, it also has Menace. We're going to go ahead and pay 2 and equip it to Krenko. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're going to, you know what I think we're going to do? I think we're going to pay 1, 2, sack the treasure for 3, tapping War Room and taking a damage, and then drawing a card. That's a mountain. We already played a land, but it's fine. Now we will move to combat. We were going to swing Krenko at you. He now has Menace, so you can't block him. And on attack, it's going to go up. It's going to get that buff as well. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to make another 8 tokens. This then goes up to 15, little guys. And like I said, you're going to take 8 damage. Is that enough to KO you? I don't think so. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11 commander damage. Very good, though. Although I don't believe it's going to be enough. He'll most likely destroy them on the crackback. And I could have sent the 7 goblins that did not have summoning sickness, but it would have only put him down to 27. It wouldn't have really done anything. And the idea, well, I guess, like I said, goblins are going to die in the next turn, their next turn. So it's kind of irrelevant, but I was hoping, like, now I have 15 1/1s. Perfect to just swing out at one person with Krenko going at somebody else, do massive damage. But we won't get to see that this game. Go ahead and pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. Gonna play the island back. This is gonna be interesting. I don't know that we can do it right on this turn, but we're gonna tap gonna tap a green and one other to play Belt of Giant Strength. Equipped creature has base power and toughness 10/10. But it has an equip cost of 10. However, this ability costs X less to activate, where X is the power of the creature it targets. Actually, I think we can do it. 3, 4, 5. So it's going to cost 5 less. That means we need 5. We actually have more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are equipping the Belt of Giant Strength. Okay, so this is getting a little gross because me, the Immortal, did win the first 2 games, and that's a pretty solid setup to make her win this one. Not necessarily guaranteed because we do have a large, essentially double striking commander damage that way. If we can get that up a little higher, they might be able to like ignore goblins for a second and take her out. Unless she goes there, which is probably a smart move because that's the only threat to her right now. Although 15 goblins and a bunch of attacks, but yeah, I think that's probably the biggest threat because it's currently at 14 commander damage. If we could somehow cast enough spells to get 3 or 4 counters on there, well, 4 technically, it would then be enough to be lethal commander damage. So regardless, we're going to move to combat, and we're going to put a counter on her. She now has a base power and toughness 10/10, and she has 3 counters on her, so that means she's a 13/13 with vigilance and menace. Now that isn't lethal by any stretch, so the question is where to go. The menace means she can absolutely hit these 2. No trample means that even if she went that way, she'd get 2 little goblin creature tokens taken out, and that's it. So unfortunately, the only smart move is because they can definitely take that out of the equation. She's going to have to go this way. So she's going to swing again, and he does have commander damage from her. Ooh, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. Very, very close to being lethal commander. Oops, did I do something? Yes, I did. Okay. So she's going to swing at you. You can't block. So you're going to take another 13 commander. Yep, 18 commander damage. One more hit from her, and this is dead. There's no end step triggers. We're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Well, we're definitely doing this. We're going to tap 2 mana, blue and 1 other, to play run away together. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by different players. Return those creatures to their owner's hands. This and this. And, as we've said, returning it to the hand means the counters go away. So it doesn't have the +1/+1s, and she loses the Vigilance and Menace. The equipment will just fall back to the battlefield, and this now goes into my... Same over here. Actually, exactly the same, which is amusing. Smart play by the Doctor. Oh, was you really yourself? It's like, yes, I know, but the point is, it was a good play. Tapping 3 to return from the wilds. Choose 2. Search your library for basic land card, put in the battlefield tap, then shuffle, create a 1/1 white human creature token, and make a food token. Well, I was going to say I was going to get the land, but it does, since everything's got menace, or it will, we should probably make the human. But we're also going to make a food token. And we're going to tap the last 3 to play Nissa's Pilgrimage. Gain 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put 1 on the battlefield, 1 into my hand. Put 1 island on the battlefield, 1 forest into my hand. So we're ramping great over here, but we got nothing to really play with it. So the Doctor is now a 4/4 with Trample. You've got a 2/3. They do have a bunch of, like 15. They could swing everything over there, so I guess we'll just hold pattern just in case. I'd like to swing back just as a screw you, but we don't want to be foolish and leave ourselves wide open to goblins. So we'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play a forest for turn. Tapping 2 to play a Fractured Power Stone. Just taps for colorless. 2 white and 2 others. To play Wedding Ring. When Wedding Ring enters the battlefield, if it was a cast, target opponent creates a token copy of it. I guess we'll go with you, because neither one of them have gained life. So now we're married, and whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card, and whenever they gain life, you gain life, and that works both ways. So whenever they draw a card, we draw a card, and whenever we draw a card, they draw a card. But we cast a white spell, so Ramos is going to go up by 1. Unfortunately, that's all we can do, so we're going to go to combat for 8. So it's 8 in the air, that's 16 commander damage. That's 30 total commander damage. You're down to 9. Kaboosh boy, you dead. And we'll try and not play the deck next time like last time we did. So yes, this is a force to be reckoned with. It is now, as we said, 16 commander damage every crack because of Uncivil Unrest. We have to get rid of that. They do have an answer for it, so we'll have to see. We'll pass turn. So, untap, upkeep, draw, but they draw as well. Move this over here. Play an island for turn. Now, the nice thing about it going back to my hand, though, is at least I don't have the commander tax. So, red, blue, the red, green, blue, and 2 others to replay me the Immortal. We cannot equip that. We don't have enough power or mana. Alright, I was kind of not wanting to play this, but it's the only 3-drop we have. We're going to play Aggravated Assault again. You know, we've seen this last couple games as well, unfortunately. Pay 5 mana, untap all creatures, you get an extra combat after this. So we're going to move to combat. We're going to get the Menace again. But that's all we can do. We will pass. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Nice. We're going to play a forest for turn. Going to tap 4, 2 blue, to play Sakashima the Imposter. It's a 3/1 when it enters the battle, or when you may have the imposter enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except its name is Sakashima the Imposter. It's legendary in addition to its other types, and has pay 4, return this creature to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So it is now a copy of the 3rd Doctor. However, its base power and toughness is a 3/1 instead of a 2/2, so it's basically a 5/3. Going to tap 3 to play Stern Lesson. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card, create a tapped Power Stone token. Alright, the Power Stone just taps for 1 colorless mana, and it can't be used to cast non-artifacts spells. But we do draw 2 cards, and then we discard a card. We're going to go ahead and discard the forest. All right, so we now have a 1-1, a 1-2-3, a 5-5, and a 6-3 or something like that. Decent, but really not a threat against that, and we can't really get through too much on there. So we're going to go ahead and pass. So as I said, they have a way to deal with the double strike enchantment. It's not double strike, but essentially double damage, whatever you want to call it. However, we're gonna as that character, we're gonna play a bit of a gamble. We're gonna hope that they go after her, take her out, and then we blow that up to give ourselves some more time. And that's I also have a card I could have played that would have made another copy of the Doctor, but then that would have probably drawn a little bit too much attention. So the mindset is to just hold off on both of those spells. Okay, we did something, but we're still not really a threat. 5, 6, and a 1-1 versus a flying, 8-8 with crazy doubling damage. Meanwhile, we know that they got double damage possibilities over here. We know they can ramp up. So we're hoping they're going to go over that way. We'll see. I'm probably going to, but let's see what happens when I play my turn. We're going to draw for turn. However, they get to draw. None of these decks really gain life, so that's not going to be too much of an issue. Okay, this is going to be a bit crazy. We're going to tap 3 green and 3 blue to play Body of Research, one of the other cards that this deck was kind of built for. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of cards in your library. Now, the idea is to have all will be one out. You're going to, I don't know exactly how many. You can count the things, and we'll do that in a second. But the point is, have all will be one out, cast that. You put whatever it is, 80, 70, 80 counters on the creature, and you hit one person for 70 damage, taking them out instantly. And you also have a 70/70 creature. But on cast, that's 2 more counters over here, putting this up to 6, which almost makes it lethal. And then we are going to tap 3 more to play Llanowar Visionaries, which does in fact make it lethal commander damage. Well, it makes it 11 damage, but with the doubling, it makes it 22. Whenever he enters the battlefield, draw a card. So they draw a card. And that does make the deck less. So hang on a second. So let's see. We got 1, 2. So I'm not going to actually make the token. I'm just going to use the card as the token. But it should be in approximately 81. 81. Now it doesn't have trample, it doesn't have haste, it doesn't have flying, so chump blocking is a viable like that. Well, 1/1 can stop it. But we did just put 81 counters on something. And remember, if anything with counters on it hits, it doubles the damage. So it would actually do like 160 damage to that little 1/1. I will play Rith's Grove, bouncing one of the islands back to my hand so that it doesn't come in tapped. Or so I don't sacrifice it. But I don't have anything with 1 mana well, 2 mana. Still not enough. I think we'll tap him to remove a counter to put a counter on everybody else. And now everybody else can do double damage. Now the question is, where do we want to go? We have a 12/12 that's going to hit for double damage. I'm trying to assess the situation, and basically on her next turn, the best she can do is if she triggers, and I don't know exactly what I just drew. I can see one of them looks like a fog spell, I think. No, that's just rampant growth. Yeah, so I don't have any of the fog spells that are in that deck. So at best, we can activate Aggravated Assault, swing twice, which would give her 2 counters, which would make her a 5/5 at the end. And she has Menace, but even if I swung at her, right? Well, if I swung, I'd kill her. But they have enough to double block and absolutely kill her on the first combat before the second one even bothers to trigger. And they can double block as well. So the point is, we have flying, no one else does. They're not a threat right now. Neither one of them is really a threat, but we know they're slow. They're I don't know. My thought is now that he's a one-shot lethal commander damage is just take him out right now and then on my next turn go for her because she's probably not going to be able to do anything to stop it before then. That's a gamble, but you could take the automatic win of or automatic KO for there, and we know that they have a way to deal with that. However, it's still not going to stop the 82-82. But I'm trying not to like. This is one of the few times where playing all the decks does become a conflict of interest because it's like, oh, am I trying to take that person out because I know they can stop this, or am I being fair and how would I really play this? But right, so let's see. Um, oh, she doesn't have any commander damage from him. That's odd. I thought she did. No, because I finished him off. It went around again. Okay. Well, that does change things then. Well, it doesn't change things, but it makes things a little different. I mean, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't change things because it's lethal commander. It's just one shot, one shot. It doesn't matter which time, which way you go. The only problem is it will matter, but they don't know that that'll matter. So what do we have over here? We only have see, so she hasn't come at us either. Neither one of them have. So at this point, now there could be like, well, you know, politicking or begging or whatever. But they do have the highest life total. You know what? Unfortunately, so we've got a 5-5 and a 6-3, we'll say. 6-2, whatever it is, 6-3. That's a decent amount of damage, but we're thinking, oh, yes, they have trample, but I have an 82-82. I can block one of them, it doesn't get through. The other one, even if it takes out the Llanowar Visionary, cool, I take like 2 damage. I don't care. And you have a 1-1, whoop-de-doo. They have Menace, they're going to get Vigilance, they're going to get First Strike, and they're going to get Counters. And they're going to put that 10-10 thing back on it so that she will suddenly be, yeah, I think, plus with the highest life total, I think that's what we got to do. We're going to swing him at you. And it's going to be 12 damage, doubled. There we go, 24 commander damage, down to 11 life, but you are out of the running. Kaboosh. All right, that's all we can do. This is now useless, but whatever, we're gonna pass turn. Although, to be fair, I am kind of happy that it didn't win for the third time in a row. So it's untap, upkeep, draw. We're gonna play a treasure vault. Going to tap 2 and play you find a cursed idol. Destroy target enchantment. So no more double striking for you, or double damage. I keep saying double strike. Then I'm going to tap another 2 to play Prosperous Innkeeper, which I think we've seen all 3 games. Again, it's going to make a food token when it enters. Nope, treasure. And when another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. Tapping 4 to play Vernicus's Vile Duplication. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except the token has flying and isn't legendary if the creature is legendary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is now a 6/6. Wait, is it? Yeah, 6/6 flyer, and it was a creature, so I do gain a life. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a 7/5. These are just little 1/1s, but they're definitely great chump blockers for that giant body of research. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking low. I gotta try and speak up a little bit. So it's decent, but not great yet because okay, a 7 something, a 6 something in the air, and a 6 something on the ground against an 82-82, not really gonna help much. And this doesn't have haste, and they've got a 12/12 flyer. So we're going to go ahead and pass. There's nothing else we can do. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Play a Nomad Outpost comes in tap because why not? Green, green, and one other. To play Court of Garden Brig. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. I don't have a monarch token. At the beginning of your upkeep, distribute 2+1/+1 counters among 2 target creatures. Then, if you're the monarch, double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Oh man. There. We are the monarch. Bow, peasants, because you're about to die. Alright. Unfortunately, that's really the best we can do. All I have is something that can destroy artifact or enchantment. I could blow up one of the tokens. That's not really going to help him. I mean, it'll lower everything by 1, but I mean, it's kind of a waste of a destruction spell like that. I can't pay mana into anything. All right, we'll remove a counter from him, tapping it to put a counter on everything else. Oh, and I played a green spell, so this goes up 1 more as well. So we now have a 14/14 flying commander, but no trample. And I could use his ability once to make double Wooburg, but I have nothing really important to play with it. Definitely seeing that I need more card draw in this deck to have, stuff to play for the double Wooburg when I have the opportunity. That's definitely a weakness of this deck. So we're going to move to combat. I'm going to swing Ramos Dragon Engine at you in the air. You know what? What the hell? We'll take it. We're down to 8 life. It looks like it's going to be Ramos winning, but we'll see. Because they only have 2 creatures up, but one of them is ridiculously big. We will go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Going to play the Shire, which we've seen already. All right, so we're going to tap the Shire to play Snakeskin Snakeskin Veil, putting a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. He gains hexproof until end of turn. We're actually going to put it on the flyer. Then we're going to go ahead and pay 10 mana and tap sack Treasure Vault to create 5 treasure tokens. 5, 6, 7. I almost shortchanged myself. So now 7, 8, 9. Well, that's not much. 10. Right? Because it's a copy of this. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I had a counter for 12. So this is a 12/12 flyer. This 7, 8, 9 is getting 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is actually 12 as well. And you, just for visualization purposes, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They do all have trample, however, nothing's getting through that. But let's see, right? So 12, and then, block the biggest one, although you would want to block the commander, I guess, but because commander damage, which they don't have any commander damage from me. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but so 12 and 12 is 24 damage. 25, 26, just shy. And that's still, this is pretty big, actually. This is 4, so that would cut 4 off of it anyway. So that would cut out these 2, and then 2 off of one of those things. So it'd be 22 damage would get through. A valiant effort, but it wouldn't kill them, and then we would definitely be wide open if we swung out. And even if we didn't, they have flying, so the only way we could not die is to not send this one. All right, let's try and play it smart. We're going to swing these at you. So you're going to block the doctor with that for sure. Blowing it up costs 2 more to cast. You're going to take 12. Well, nope, sorry. Right. So you're going to block that with that, blowing it up. You're going to block this with this. It's going to die. But it was a 4/4. So 12, so 8's going to get through. And then you're going to take the 1. So now you have a chump blocker for that big thing, and you have a flyer for that. And kind of all you can do, so you're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Oh, upkeep trigger. At the beginning of your upkeep, distribute 2 counters among creatures you control. Then if you're the monarch, which I am not, technically you are, so actually you have to draw a card, which is cool. Oh, that's a good one. Um, okay, we're not the monarch, but we still have that upkeep. So draw a card for turn. Okay, cool. Canopy Vista comes in untapped because I have more basics, but again, nothing to blow up with this root out I have. Now the question is, does this character bother attacking? I think we have to attack with Ramos, right, to put the pressure on, because this is a 15-15, that's a 12-12, and he can't let it go through. So he has to block with that, so this has to die. That's it, but we didn't get through, so we are not the monarch, and then we pass turn. We untap over here, upkeep. Good, but I don't know. Now, we do have a lot of treasures, but we don't want to use them up. I don't think we have a chance here, but we're going to try some stuff. Tapping 3 to play Academy Manufacturer. We played a creature, we gain a life. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to recast the commander. When he enters, you get to make your choice of a whatever. We make another treasure token, but because of Academy Manufacturer, we make one of each. So now we make a clue and we make an extra food. 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he's now 15, 13 with trample. Great, but not against an 83-83. We have 2 mana left. Right. Okay, actually that would be valid. Wait. Yeah. All right, so we're going to tap 2, sacrifice 2 of the treasure tokens down to 6 to cast Sakashima, the Thousand Faces. It enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control, except it's not legendary, so it's going to enter as a copy of the Doctor. And because it's entering as a copy of the Doctor, it has the Doctor's ability, which means we're going to make one of everything. So we got rid of 2 treasures, but we ended up getting 3 more tokens. So that actually netted us 1 extra token, which means that should be a 16. 7, 10, 12. Wait. 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wait, why is that still 15? I must have miscounted the first time then. Oh, this over here, 16. Okay, I was right. Good. So it's now 16. And same over here, actually. This is a 16, 16, and 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He is a 15, 15. However, the problem is, while they all have trample, they don't have haste. If they had haste, we'd have a real shot at winning. Actually, we probably would just win. But as it stands, we only have these 3 creatures that can attack. He's obviously going to block that. 2 damage will go through. We have no flyers. Unfortunately, that's going to be game. So we will totally go to combat, swing the board. He'll take 2, block this, kaboom, that's dead. Monarch, we draw the card. It's just a land. We pass turn. Untap, upkeep step. We put counters on things. We are not the monarch. We draw a card. It's a land. We play the Necroblossom Snarl. We remove a counter from here to put counters on every other creature for the heck of it because rude. No flyers. We go to combat. 13, 17 commander damage in the air. -8, 31 commander damage. Haboosh. There you have it. Game 3. Counters matter wins. I'm very pleased with that. I would really love to see this come out when we have all will be one out. That's the whole reason I kind of started the deck, that little combo. It only pipes one person, so but it's like whoever the biggest threat is past you, you take them completely out of the game, and you've got, whatever, a 60, 70, 80 something creature. And then of course, you could try and build a deck to have cards that give trample, but that'd be really specific and take away from the rest of the counters. There's a few cards I definitely know I'm going to take out of this deck and try and find something better, but giving that thing trample is not a big deal. Plus, with an 80 something on the field, it might take away some threat, risk off of the Ramos. Now, a flying commander is going to be more of a threat than something that doesn't have trample, regardless how big it is. But people see 84, 84, they're still going to get scared and try and waste some removal on it. But all right, that was a pretty quick game, and it was a fun one. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I hope the sound wasn't too bad. I'm still, like I said, just give me a little bit of time to get things better. Beginning of next year, hopefully around February. So I'm going to try and stockpile. This is the third match. One more set of three will take me through December. And then if I just do like two more sets of three, that'll take us into February to the point where I should hopefully get another one. Now, granted, that's, 12 games with bad sound, so I don't know. I might switch back to the fisheye just because to get the volume better, but because it wasn't that big a deal, I guess, versus I want you to be able to hear me, so we might have to go back to that. But I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you saw some cool cards, and I will see you next time.